Okay, I'm going to show you how to do the fastest and easiest provisional cast on that I know. It's called the winding cast on. You will need your working yarn, and you can either use a pair of circular needles or 3 straight needles. If you're going to use straight needles, 2 of them need to be the size that you're going to knit your sweater in, and the 3rd needle can either be the same size or smaller. Just half a size smaller is ideal. Also, you'll need something to put your invisible stitches on, left over from the cast on, so a stitch holder, a scrap of yarn, or you can just leave them on the cable if you're using a long cable. Okay, this I'm casting on for my cupcake pattern, and I need 45 stitches. So I've got my circular needle, I've got my working yarn. If you're using straight needles, hold your garment size needle on the bottom and your extra needle, your small one, or the one that's the same size, on top, and keep the 2nd garment needle to the side ready for use later. First thing, make a slip knot. If you're not up to slip knot stage, just tie a knot and put it on your bottom needle. Okay. You've got your smaller needle, all the same size needle on top, and your tail here, just hold it tight in the other hand just to secure it. And it is so easy from here, just wrap. So just going around the front and down behind, around, behind, around, behind, around, behind, and that is it. And if you're counting your stitches, so if you just work that stitch back around to the front there, you count across the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, so I've got 5 stitches on the top, and count the slip knot for the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be the same. If you've got your working yarn in a downward pull there, count the stitches on top, and that is your stitch count. You'll have the same number on the top and the bottom. So now you know how to do it. You just keep going until you have the number of stitches. How easy is that? So I need 45, so I'm going to, maybe for the sake of the demo, I'll just do however many I've got here. Okay, so there we go, I've completed it, and just begin knitting your row 1 of your pattern. Keep the tension on this so that it's still pulled nice and straight out here and tight. You don't want to lose any stitches. You need to turn it, just flip it over. That's it. Keep the tension. I knit continental, so I keep the tension in my left hand. But if you are if you're a right hand knitter, just keep the tension there. Okay, remember it needs to be up, because when we finished down knitting it was down. When we finished winding it, it was down. Now it needs to be up. Okay. Now, if you're using circular needles, just simple as pulling the bottom needle straight through, and you can leave those stitches on the bottom. If you're using straight needles, then you can transfer the stitches from the bottom needle, which is now the smaller needle or the needle of the same size, onto a stitch holder or a scrap of yarn. Then pick up your garment needle, the 2nd needle point of your circular needle, or the spare needle that you had set aside, and begin to knit, just as if these are normal stitches. So I've still got the tension here, and just begin to knit. That's it, and this would be the right side of your garment, or and row 1. So work your way across, and the final stitch is the slip knot, so you'll need to knit that as well. Okay, here's my slip knot. I'll knit that, and that's our final stitch. Done. So these, how perfect is that? So this is the right side of your work, and on the other side you can see you've got all your little pearl lumps. So this is your right side here, nice and smooth. This is the pearl side. Done.